Hi, and thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, where we talk about celebrity gossip, entertainment news, fashion, and royals. This week, we're talking about the royals, Game of Thrones, Taylor Swift, Helena Christensen, Oprah, and Angelica Houston. I have a special ghost story talk with Hecate, and I call my mom about it afterwards. Our user feedback is about the Amazon posts and our royal coverage, and we end with our weekly feature, The Comments of the Week. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we're going to be around for a while. We're not taking any time off for just a little bit. I'm doing a little bit better. And we have a planned break coming for the first Monday in June. It's May already. I can't believe it. But the first Monday in June will be off because I'm going to be traveling the last week of this month. That's what we're doing.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I just found out about that, but that's cool.
I put it in the notes, so yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you don't mind. I don't know if I want to record from Florida. I'm visiting my parents. They moved down there. Yeah. I'm kind of slow today, sorry.
It's all right. I thought you were going to talk about a bunch of different things.
I did too, but I'm kind of shy. So I took that CBD oil because I have this hippie doctor and she's like, you should order that. And it's legal throughout the US. It's non-psychoactive or whatever. And it works, but it did work too well. It made me kind of slow and I felt like I couldn't work as well today. So I don't know, but at least it's not painkillers. You know?
Yeah, that's good. Are you taking stuff just regular Tylenol?
Yes, I like Tylenol the best, actually.
Yeah, as I get older, I notice a difference between stuff like Aleve and Tylenol. I do think that Tylenol works better. I really do.
It does. And now that I don't drink, I can take it. I should have been worried when I took it before because I drank so much, but now you can take it as long as, you don't hurt your liver or whatever. But I like Tylenol the best. Advil is okay. And Aleve just lasts all day. So if it doesn't work, you're screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I took that one day. I'm like, it didn't work, but I can't take anything else.
All right. Well, most of this week has been waiting for Meghan to have her baby, the Duchess of Sussex. I kind of think that we'll probably have to update this podcast. There's a lot of speculation that she's already had the baby, and she has not. As of this recording, which is Thursday afternoon, she has not had the baby.
Yesterday, I don't know if you saw this thread on Twitter, but Kate Casey, who does that Reality Life with Kate Casey podcast, she was like, I'm convinced that she had the baby. And everyone was talking in that Twitter thread. I didn't say anything about it, but they were starting to convince me a little bit. Because they had all this evidence. And I was like, well, maybe. And then I went and looked back at your post on Prince Harry. He has a scheduled trip to the Netherlands next week. Mm-hmm. I looked at that and you had updated it with that quote from Rebecca English. She's that royal reporter. And she said, no, this is a long-standing engagement that Harry had. And the baby isn't secretly here. And then today we got this report from the official Buckingham Palace rep who was like, no, the baby has not been born yet.
Yeah, the palace people are going on the record saying, no, of course the baby isn't here. We'll tell you when it's here. I just don't think that they would lie about that. I really don't.
I don't either, but it's fun to think that there's all this extra intrigue beyond what we already know and have whispered about. It's fun to think that she had it and hid it. That would be awesome, but I know.
It happens every time there's a royal pregnancy. It happened with all of Kate's babies, too. Everyone would just convince themselves that Kate had secretly had all of her babies and that they just weren't telling anyone. At some point, it does get dumb. I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong to read those Twitter threads. I mean, I see those Twitter threads too.
Yeah.
But for goodness sake, we don't have to do this every friggin' time there's a royal pregnancy.
And you have a longer memory for that too. You know these things because you follow the royals a lot closer than I do. I know that you know too. I was like, okay, of course Chandra's right. It would be a cool conspiracy. Imagine if they pulled that off. You'd be like, respect. But it didn't happen.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think that they would get respect if they didn't tell anyone for days or weeks. the royal reporters would absolutely go apeshit on them.
Well, the American girls like us would be like, ooh, they pulled that off. Good for them. It's like some stupid rom-com, where the...
I would be mad. I'm an American girl, and I would be mad if they kept that from us. I really would.
Oh, I would just think it was cool.
They don't have to, do a hospital photo op. I don't care about any of that, but just tell us when the baby comes. That's the only thing I want. And that's the only thing most people want. Say, the baby came, it's a boy or it's a girl, and here's the name. If they make us wait forever and a day for the name, that's going to upset me.
Well, some people take a long time to name the baby. Did that happen with any of the royal babies? I swear there was
Oh, God. Kate. Yeah, Kate.
Yeah,
and
right?
Louis. Will and Kate waited 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 days to announce Louis's name.
It might have taken them legit that long to figure it out. I imagine they get those big books out.
I don't think so. I think that they figured out the name pretty quickly and they just kept it from people.
No, I really have heard of people who take a week to figure out their baby's names, though. They can't figure out what name suits them or something like that. I could see that happening. Seriously.
Well, with Will and Kate, their baby names are so boring and old-fashioned, and of course they're just picking names from people who are already in the royal family.
Yeah, true.
All right.
I wanted to ask you about this because I know you didn't report it. The Sussex Royal Instagram unfollowed everybody except these mental health accounts because they want to highlight one cause per month, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And some people thought that that was some kind of shade. It doesn't seem like it. It just seems like a way to highlight specific causes. But it's also a way to get people to speculate that it could be shade.
I think that they knew it was going to be a fun story for the tabloids to pick up, and they knew it would be picked up.
Yes, exactly.
Because everyone is following Sussex Royal, looking at how many followers they have and who they're following and where they comment. They've been commenting on the Kensington Palace Instagram, and I think the Buckingham Palace Instagram too. Yeah, I don't think that the ulterior motive was anything shady. I just think that they wanted to use the Instagram to highlight mental health. I think that was just it. And then they figured that it would get more attention if they did it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I think they knew what they were doing and they didn't mean to throw shade, but they also were smart about it in a way that would get them pressed, like you said. So cool.
Yeah.
So
and we'll probably have to update this. So let's just talk about Game of Thrones.
Okay. Oh. Game of Thrones. I watched it as it happens, and it was one of the first ones I've seen live in years, and it was fucking awesome. It really was.
Well, it's crazy to me that that's one of the first ones you've seen, as it happens. Yet it was not even, close to being one of the best battle episodes. It really wasn't. Go back to a few seasons ago, the episode was just called Hardhome, and it was, I still believe, one of the best hours of television I've ever seen in my life.
Ooh.
It was a huge, epic battle, and it involved, White Walkers, the undead, and all of these wildlings. Oh, it was an amazing episode of television. And then last season was the Battle of the Bastards.
Okay, I'm writing this down.
Those two, Hardhome and Battle of the Bastards, were 1,000,000 times better than The Long Night. They really were. It was better direction. You could see the action. It wasn't so friggin' dark. I think why people are standing for The Long Night and saying, oh, it was so excellent, is because it was built up so much. I really did feel like they had built it up so much so that the battle between the living and the undead was the existential crisis of the show. So that's what it felt like 7 seasons had been building up to. And yeah, it was kind of a letdown, and especially because it was so friggin' dark. But we finally got a resolution to it. So I think that's what people like.
We like that Arya is such a badass and that she's the one who saved the day and that she survived and that most of our favorites survived. There were some really sad scenes with people being super heroic, like Lyanna. How do you say her name?
Lyanna Mormont.
The little warrior getting that giant in the eye.
Yeah. Prediction-wise, we thought Theon was a given, that he was definitely going to die. we kind of figured that Ed, the Night's Watch guy, he was going to die too. And both of them did.
So I liked it because even though it was dark, and we're going to talk about that, holy crap, it was such good horror.
Yeah, it was.
That scene with Arya in the library trying to hide from the White Walkers, and when they were like on top of people on the battlefield, it would have been much better if we could see it. But
yeah, let's talk about how dark it was, though.
Okay.
So the cinematographer for the episode, just the episode, his name is Fabian Wagner. What a name.
I have cousins, his last name is Wagner, but Fabian, yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, he gave this interview because everyone was criticizing the episode for being too dark.
Rightfully so.
And so he came out and gave an interview and he said, a lot of the problem is that a lot of people don't know how to tune their TVs properly. A lot of people also unfortunately watch it on small iPads, which in no way can do justice to a show like that in any way. He then contradicted himself, saying, personally, I do not have to always see what's going on because it's more about... Just make up your mind about which argument you're making, first of all.
He said it's more about the emotional impact, is what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. There have been dark episodes before. That was one of the reasons why I never really liked the Night's Watch scenes in like previous seasons. Mm-hmm. The Night's Watch is like they could only do shit in dark. Like they never did anything during the day. Those were always like inky black scenes in the Night's Watch, but this was just too much. And I think I have figured out one of the reasons why.
Okay.
It's because the cinematographer and the director, they wanted the fire to look really good. And whenever there was anything set on fire on screen, it looked awesome, but just the rest of it was crap.
So dark.
Yeah.
Dave texted me that it was unwatchable and he stopped watching it. He's not a big Game of Thrones fan, but I got him to watch the last one with me. He was liking it. So he tried to watch it and he just had to turn it off because he couldn't see it on his TV.
Yeah.
I got some comments on Instagram and Twitter. One on Instagram is really telling. You said that you always turn off your lights. I turned off my lights. There was a lot I couldn't see.
Yeah.
This one I got on Instagram is from this Australian guy I follow named Cooper GA. He wrote, I have a new 65-inch smart TV and had to put it on maximum brightness and contrast to see it properly, and even then it wasn't great. Afterwards, I switched to another show and nearly blinded myself. What bullshit. Which is what a lot of people are saying. Of course, they adjusted their TVs or turned off the lights, whatever, and they still couldn't see it. And there's all this blurriness, too, in some of the fight scenes, particularly with the dragons.
Yeah. The dragon scenes were ridiculously... No one could understand what was happening in the dragon scene.
I couldn't tell what was the good dragon and what was the bad dragon.
Yeah. And that's like a fundamental mistake that they've made with the show in general, that is that no one can differentiate between the dragons.
Oh, okay.
I feel like they should have made the dragons different colors, but maybe that's like not scientific in Game of Thrones world. You know, I really do. And I guess there are subtle differences in their colors, but anyway, I could like talk for an hour about the dragons, but I won't.
I could see the ice one, the stuff around the ice one, but then they were fighting and you couldn't tell which one was what or what they were doing.
Right.
Yeah, there was some of that happening with the White Walkers in the battle scenes, but I thought that was just kind of to show like how overwhelming it was for the for the people. Ooh, did the Dothraki all die?
I don't think they did because the big trailer that they released a month or two ago, there were scenes of Dothraki in King's Landing. So I think some of them did survive. I really hope that the entire Dothraki army did not get wiped out. That would be rough.
That was chilling. That was a really good part. And then later, Melisandre did the fire after that.
Oh, Melisandre was awesome in that whole episode.
She was. Oh. I like how she just walked away and threw stuff off and her hair went gray. She's like, bye, bitches. See ya.
Yeah, she's like been alive for like 300 years or something.
She's like, fuck this. I'm going to retire now.
All right. Well, we've got like a bunch of little stories that we wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. Taylor Swift. What, do you want to talk about it?
Okay.
You want to like set it up?
I asked you beforehand. We were trying to figure out what we were going to cover today. And then we came up with all these other little stories that we wanted to talk about. And I'm like, let's just dump Taylor Swift. Let's not talk about her. And you were like, we should. It was a big story. Come on.
I mean, yeah, it's always a big story when she's releasing new music. And that's it. Last week, she released her new music video and her new single, which is Me, capital M, capital E, exclamation point, Me, with Brendan Urie of Panic at the Disco. It feels to me like a complete regression of her look and sound. You know,
I don't like it. I don't like this song. I like some of her other stuff. You know, it's catchy. This song didn't get me. It's not fun. I'm not going to be singing it. It's all about, I'm awesome, so you should stay with me even though I'm a pain in the ass. That's like the message, right?
It is exactly. It's like, yeah, I know I'm a lot to take, but I'm pretty cool.
And drama is so French, right? So my drama is like French and foreign. I don't know. And kittens. And vomit and like unicorn rainbow vomit.
It looked like a show or a cartoon for kids. That's all the video looked like. It just looked like something a 5 or 6 year old would absolutely adore.
Maybe that's her market, though. Like, she knows her market. She's catering to it. She's getting the next generation.
It really did feel like she and her audience were growing at the same time. That's how it used to be. With 1989, she was maturing a little bit. She was singing about more mature love. Of course, it was mostly about her drama with Katy Perry. And then with Reputation, she just tried to do too much, I think. Some of the songs were okay. There were some good ballads, and then there were all of these references to like Kanye and Kim.
She was this snake, like owning the narrative and dancing, whatever.
But I would take that stuff as opposed to this Me era.
And then she just went back to pastel and rainbow.
Yeah, I don't get it.
The kittens are cute. And I love that video that you posted of her realizing that that baby ragdoll kitten was for adoption. She's like, oh.
That was really cute.
That was cute. Yeah.
What I loved about it is that no one around her has the balls to talk her out of it. Like, no one is going to say, Taylor, do you really need another kitten? Because she's so busy talking herself into it. You can tell as soon as she picks up that kitten, she's going to take it home.
She's like, it's purring. And it was so sweet letting her pet its stomach. So she's only got 3 and she flies private. She brings those cats with her everywhere. You know, they're going to have a show pet life or whatever, you know.
Yeah, they're going to have a great life. And she's a good cat mom. You know, you can talk a lot of shit about Taylor Swift, but she's a great cat mom.
She loves her cats. So, and then we had the Billboard Music Awards, and she did a drumline. And this was strangely controversial on the site today because Beyonce, of course, just did epic drumlines as shown in her concert footage from Homecoming. And that's what drumlines are associated with now. Yes, Beyonce did not originate drumlines in performances.
Yeah, Beyonce's not the first person to use a marching band or a drumline in a concert at all.
No.
But Beyonce did it at Coachella and like she owned it. She redefined what it was like to use that kind of marching band and drumline in a concert setting for Coachella. And she did it in the context of historically Black colleges and universities. Okay, that was last year. She did that at Coachella. She releases Homecoming. Yeah, just a week before Taylor Swift released Me. You would think Taylor would be like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's too soon after Beyonce's Homecoming. Yeah, it really just felt like she watched Homecoming and she was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm going to use that in my Billboard performance and no one will say shit because I'm Taylor Swift. Again, it's not that Beyonce owns a drumline. She does not. But it was very obvious and it came right after Homecoming. Of course, people are going to make comments about it.
And that's not something you just use for a performance, like a cool lighting trick or something that no one's going to notice. That is a definitive part of a performance. A drumline is not that. I do think she used that, but whatever. All the white people who love Taylor Swift are telling us we're wrong.
Oh my goodness. As I watched it last night, because I did watch some of the billboards, I don't know why. As soon as I saw the drumline, I was like, ooh, that is some Beyonce looking stuff right there. And I thought I was going to be alone, or that everyone was going to jump down my throat. And no one jumped down my throat. Everyone said the same thing. That is some Beyonce looking stuff right there.
Yeah.
All right. And then this was a story I covered this week. Helena Christensen went to Gigi Hadid's birthday party. Gigi asked for people to dress on theme, and the theme was denim.
Okay.
And so Helena wore this flared 70s looking pair of jeans and a black bustier. And she's a beautiful supermodel. Even though she's 50 years old, she's still a beautiful supermodel. And
yeah.
She looked good. She didn't look like teeny weeny skinny little thing, and she didn't look like, oh, that's inappropriate. She didn't look either of those things. It was just very like sexy older woman wears bustier. Who cares?
Yeah.
But the former British Vogue editor Alexandra Shulman, just interesting side note, I always associate her with choosing to put the Duchess of Cambridge on the cover of British Vogue and like talking her up to a crazy degree just because Kate dared to wear jeans.
Oh, I remember that. She looked like she was in like a Ralph Lauren ad in those pictures.
Yeah.
It's like a horsey thing.
Yeah, and so Shulman went off trying like to take down Helena Christensen, and she's called her the madam in a one-horse town, and that she was quote unquote too old to wear a bustier at the age of 50. Something that you wore at 30 will never look the same on you 20 years later. Clothes don't lie. When women's bodies no longer serve any childbearing purpose, we find flaunting them disturbing and slightly tragic. I don't claim that this is fair, but it's true. And what a bitch.
So what?
Oh my God.
We're not supposed to wear bikinis because we can't have babies anymore?
I mean, once you are no longer fertile, you're just supposed to wear a burqa, I guess.
Yeah.
Even in Western society.
Ooh, have you ever worn a bustier as outerwear? Because I did it in the 90s. It was fun.
I haven't worn it as outerwear, but I've worn bustiers and like big push-up whatever. And you know how big my boobs are anyway. So
you're lucky that way. Yeah.
It was uncomfortable, but you know, whatever.
I don't have any boobs, so I can wear that kind of...
Yeah, it's small breast privilege. Helena has a really nice figure, and she can pull that off. I couldn't. I'm younger than Helena, and I would look like a smacked ass if I tried to wear a bustier right now.
Well, you have nice boobs. There's privilege in having great boobs, too. Like, I hear a lot of my friends that are well-endowed be like, oh, exercising is hard, it hurts or whatever. But you can wear more stuff. Well, I don't know. I'm sure there's equal drawbacks and advantages to each.
Yeah, I can't wear a lot of stuff because my boobs are so big.
I would just like to know what it's like to have that problem for like a few months. Wow. I just want to know what that's like because I never will unless I pay for it. So
yeah. And I mean, I would love to know what it's like to just go around with like perky little B cups. I've always wondered, like, is that really cool?
They're not perky.
Can you just throw on a t-shirt and no bra and just like wander around? Because I can't. If I go braless, it's obscene.
I mean, I won't just wear a t-shirt, but a lot of times I'll just wear like a lined cami or just a sports bra. It pushes it down, but I don't have much. So yeah, I'll trade for a couple months. See what that's like.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. And then another big story that I covered, well, it wasn't that big on the site, but people had some strong opinions about it, was Oprah on the cover of The Hollywood Reporter. And I just wanted to say, like, if you have any interest in Oprah, go and read that interview because it was epic. It was a great read. I think it was because I haven't read an Oprah interview in a while. Mm-hmm. And I was fascinated by how her thoughts on some things have changed and what she'll admit and what she's genuinely humble about and what she's not humble about at all. She went on for like paragraphs about buying a private plane and how she justifies it to herself. I found it very interesting why she left CBS. That was a good story.
So they told her how to say her own name. Like she's putting too much emotion into her name. And that was a way of shading them for telling her not to be a woman.
Yeah, and I mean, just think about everything that we've learned about CBS and Les Moonves and the toxic male environment.
Yeah.
There were a lot of stories about 60 Minutes specifically about how the producers were all these toxic bros, and they were burying stories about sexual harassment and sexual misconduct. And just think about how Oprah was there trying to tell certain kinds of stories, and they were making her repeat her name over and over again until she could say it without emotion.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oprah is the queen. We don't know who she's going to endorse for president, but it's not going to be Beto O'Rourke, because she just asked him. She was like, Beto, just give me a heads up if you're going to run. And he wouldn't. So you're gone. You're gone.
Yep. She destroyed him in like one or two sentences. She just took down his presidential campaign. It was pretty funny.
Good. That's awesome.
Then there was another great interview, and this one probably will be read widely.
In a terrible way.
Yeah, in a terrible way. Angelica Houston is in the latest John Wick movie, which I guess this is the third one, which is weird.
I saw the second one. It was awesome. I like them.
So Angelica is in John Wick 3. And she decided to do some press, and she gave this absolutely insane interview to Vulture, which is part of New York Magazine. I mean, did you read it?
Yeah, I read your excerpt and some other coverage here and there, and I was like, I can't. What is she even thinking?
I had to stop reading it at some point. I was overwhelmed by the gossip.
Okay, she's 67. Like, I could hear this kind of bullshit coming from somebody in their late 80s, early 90s and be like, okay, they're batshit now. But that to me is too young to talk so much ridiculous smack and just, do you know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine someone 80-something saying this? Like, we give them a pass. Like, Angela Lansbury said some shit, we gave her a pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember when Angela Lansbury talked some like toxic bullshit, and we were like, okay, but yeah, she's like 90 or something, so okay, it's all right.
Yeah,
we're disappointed, but it's okay.
Yeah, like, in 30 years, say whatever I want. I don't give a shit. But that's too young.
But the thing about Angelica Houston being 67 is that, like, she's packed so much life into 67 years. Like, she knows everybody. She's slept with a lot of people, you know, like she had some bad shit happen to her. She alluded to it in that story. Oh, yeah. And she had to grow up very, very early. With John Huston as her father, like, he was screwing her friends. She had to take care of her little sister. She had to be the adult in every relationship, even when the adults were abusive monsters. There is some internalization of toxic masculinity and misogyny. Yeah. But she's also old enough to know, like, get into therapy and figure your shit out, because
I was going to say that too. Yeah, just go to therapy. And she's not old enough to get a pass. Like, you don't say that in an interview. She knows what she's doing, though. She's just spilling the tea on everybody. She said that Penny Marshall and Carrie Fisher were doing a lot of drugs both before they died, and, you know, and she was friends with them, and just, no, you don't talk about them. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And then, all right, she didn't say that much about Woody Allen in the piece. I used the quotes that she did say.
She said she'd work with him.
But she was very, like, yeah, she was very blasé about it. She was like, yeah, he was never convicted of anything. I'd work with him again. Of course I would. But the Roman Polanski stuff, I think it was because Vulture kept on pressing her about it. Yeah. She, like, kept on talking about Polanski, and she was there the day that Polanski raped Samantha Geimer. Angelica just kind of shrugs it off like, well, a lot of men were like that back then.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it right. You were hanging around with a lot of statutory rapists, or just flat out rapists.
Does she have any kids? I'm Googling it. She does not have any children.
Oh, she doesn't?
I just wikied it.
She raised some of her step-siblings and half-siblings as her own, though. I'm pretty sure.
But none...
Yeah, her half-sister wrote a memoir about how Angelica raised her. John Huston had kids all over the place. And Angelica really did take care of some of them. But anyway.
Yeah, I would just imagine that if she had kids, she would have been like, oh my God, this person is so young and innocent. Like, that's the point you get. Whatever. I don't want to talk about her.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's talk about it.
I didn't mean to shut you down so rudely. I just got mad thinking about it for a second.
Yeah, I understand, but I don't even think that she would change her mind if she had kids. I really don't. I think she's internalized all of her father's attitudes so completely.
It's disturbing.
It's kind of a lost cause, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, and you're going to do the ghost stories.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Hecate today. She covered the story about Sting. He told a ghost story. I don't believe in ghosts. I was talking to you about it on email. But after I watched it, he scared the shit out of me. And then when I was trying to mod the comments for that post, I was like, oh no, oh hell no. And I like stopped reading them.
I know. I can't hear ghost stories because I'll get freaked out. I live alone with the black cat.
That's like protective. I swear that I have had black cats all my life. Black cats protect you from shit. That is.
I do feel like that. I really do, because he was on my lap during the Game of Thrones, and I felt like he was really protecting me from the White Walkers. And plus, he sleeps on my pillow, and I really do feel like he wards off evil spirits while I'm sleeping.
Black cats are the best. They get a bad rap, but they're the ones that keep the evil stuff from you. But
yeah.
So
yeah, I can't hear ghost stories and stuff. I don't like horror movies. I'm not a big horror person. What really scares me are like ghost stories and like spooky things, shit that goes, bang in the night. Oh, I cannot handle that kind of stuff. I'll stay up all night worrying about it.
I like to rationalize it. If I hear stories about people telling ghost stories, I like to rationalize it like, okay, maybe they had carbon monoxide poisoning, they live in an old house, that sort of thing. But this story by Sting, he said that him and his wife, can I say it?
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I really don't want to know. I'll tell you my ghost story if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you want my ghost story?
Sure, go ahead.
On the year anniversary of my father's death, and he died in India, and on the year anniversary of his death, I was woken up by a banging on the door. And it was at like 4 a.m. And I woke up, I got up, and I turned on all the lights in the house, and I went to the door, and of course nothing was there.
Oh my God, I have terrible goosebumps. I do, I'm so scared. Ooh, whew. It's going to be hard to talk to Kat later. I'm getting like a little scary. I like listening to like horror podcasts and scary ghosty podcasts, so I thought that would be a nice addition to this.
Oh God, how can you do that? Oh, all right.
I tell myself it's not real, but then I hear this stuff and it legit scares me. I'm like, what if it's real? And in this next section, I speak with Hecate, Kat, about her experiences with ghosts. She covered a story where Sting claimed that he lived in a haunted house when he wrote, "If you love somebody, set them free." So I'm going to play a clip from that and then move on to my talk with Hecate.
Desert Rose, if you love somebody, set them free. That was written in a haunted house. Is that true?
I lived in a haunted house in North London for a very long time.
This is really true?
I never believed in ghosts. I was very skeptical about it until I lived with them. Yeah.
So it was numerous ghosts?
Yeah, you would wake up in the morning and everything had been reorganized in the kitchen. Furniture was a different place, bottles were smashed, plates were smashed on the floor. And one night I woke up and I saw Trudy standing in a corner with our child. And I was wondering why she was staring at me. And then I reached over and there was Trudy. And then she went, "Who's that?" And we both saw this woman and a child in the corner of the room. Then we found out it used to be a pub called the Three Ducks in the 17th century. And I don't know what happened there, but it was a very, very weird atmosphere. And then when I sold the house, it kept being resold every few months.
Yeah, because who wants to be there's something in there, yeah.
I asked you if you want to talk about this because it scared me so much. Not just seeing that video. I don't believe in ghosts. But watching Sting tell that story where both him and his wife saw the same ghost holding a baby, it does seem a little coincidental that his wife had a baby at the time. Maybe it was a shared drug high or whatever.
Logical explanation, yes.
Yeah. And then what convinced me, though, was that he said that other people kept selling the house every few months. Now, that's a little bit, okay, maybe something's there.
Yeah, and I always look for the history, and it did have a history. It was a tavern.
Yeah, that's something, too. And you told a couple ghost stories that scared me. And I didn't even know that you believed in ghosts because I know you just like to talk about ghosts, and I thought you just thought they were fun. But you,
which I do.
You have real stories.
But yeah, I do. I believe I grew up with a ghost, and I do look for them wherever I go. Now, I'm fortunate. I've never been harmed by a ghost. I've been scared by them, but I haven't been harmed by one. So they don't scare me.
All right. So your story and then all the stories in the comments, and there were some doozies. Holy crap. I was having a hard time even seeing the comments in the mod queue.
Yeah, there were some really good ones in the comments.
Because I get goosebumps reading some of these stories. They're so scary and just convincing.
Yeah.
So you said there's one story that you didn't tell about a little girl in a cabin. Do you want to tell that story?
Well, yeah. So my ghost was like judgmental. The Baptist ghost in our house was judgmental. So was most of my family. So I was really able to kind of cope with that. With our ghost, it was us. And a couple other people experienced, some weird stuff. But the little girl in the cabin, first of all, it's in a cabin in Tahoe, which is up in the mountains.
Yes.
It's snowing. There's wind blowing around. So you've got all the trappings to start with. But everybody saw her. And it was in one bedroom.
Oh, my God.
It wasn't just us.
Oh, my God.
Random people we never knew. Everybody who stayed in that cabin reported to my aunt and uncle that something had happened. Sometimes it was very specific. It was always a girl.
Oh.
It was always at the foot of the bed. And she was always looking for something, either to come and hang out with you, or I don't know what she was looking for. But one night, so it was always in this one bedroom. One night, my brother, for whatever reason, went down to sleep in the living room by the fire.
Okay.
And he very distinctly, and he was young, he very distinctly remembers somebody pressing on him with two hands and saying, "Wake up." Which he did, and looked down to see that he had kicked one of the pillows he was sleeping on into the fire, and it was on fire.
Oh, wow.
And there was nobody in the room.
So somebody saved his life.
Yeah, he had to run up and wake my parents up.
Oof.
Yeah. So that worked out well for us. But there were people who would never walk into that cabin again. And another thing about the Baptist ghost in our house, there was one corner of the living room.
Okay, so you didn't tell this story here yet.
Right.
But it's on the
Right.
it's on the post. So just tell that story again if you don't mind about the Baptist ghost.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So the Baptist ghost is the ghost that I grew up with. So we lived in that house. My parents lived in it for 50 years. They moved in 68, right before I was born.
Okay.
And so we had those old radios that you had to hand dial, and they had the plastic meter that you ran up and down the dial. So we would be listening to music, or my mom would be listening to music, whatever. And the station would just randomly change to a religious music station. A couple times you could see it physically moving down the dial. It wasn't the next station over. It was physically down the dial.
Oh, wow.
And then anytime we played any kind of music, like jazz, or if us kids were playing rock or pop or anything like that, it would turn down. But if you played classical, it never affected the classical at all. It was crazy. And it would knock over glasses every once in a while, but only if they had alcohol in it.
Oh, wow.
Which, given my parents, there was always a glass with alcohol around, but it wouldn't knock over like Cokes or whatever. It was bizarre with how consistent the irregularities in the house were.
Yes.
And then there was one corner of the living room that we had 3 different dogs at 3 different times. And every one of those dogs would just randomly get up and go and bark at that one corner of the living room. Throughout for 30 years, however long we had each, the dog. And we had a cat we had a couple cats, but one in particular, when she would get to that part of the living room, she'd race past it. And on 3 occasions, now she lived for like 20 years, but there were 3 times that she actually brought something, a bird or whatever she caught, into the house and put it in that corner.
Ooh.
Yeah. You never felt alone. You always felt like someone was hanging out with you in the house.
This freaks me out.
But it was eerie. Now, the house itself was scary. The house was cut into a hill. So there were like 34 steps to get down to it and 23 steps to get down the back steps.
So it's like the Bates house.
Exactly. Completely surrounded by eucalyptus trees, which are really loud, especially when it's windy. They're a particularly loud tree. So not one of us, including my father, who's a Navy man, could stay in that house by themselves. We could do it with one other person. Everybody who tried to sleep in that house by themselves did not have a good night.
Oh. Oh, this scares me. This is really, yeah. Those are the ghost stories that get me. The ones where people say that several people saw something at the same time. Oh my God. Okay, so I still don't want to believe, but that doesn't mean I'm not scared shitless.
But they make for good stories. Whether you believe or not, they make for good stories.
And if I was you and I lived in a house that had all that specific things happening, oh my God, yes.
Well, and I very much want to believe.
All right, so I have a ghost story.
You do? Okay.
Yes. You know how when you're talking to somebody and you just realize a story that you never thought about?
Yeah. So what is it?
So my mom was driving home. I had like a window seat in my room. And she thought she saw me on the window seat talking to somebody one night, like an older woman. And I was never on the window seat. I wasn't talking to anybody. Nothing happened, right? That never happened.
Right.
We found out the next day that the neighbor died that night.
Oh my God.
Yes, really? Because I'm telling that story. Yes, it's freaking the shit out of me.
Oh, cool. Oh my God.
That.
What do you think she said?
I don't know. Like, it's just what my mom saw. She saw that I was sitting there talking to somebody, and yeah, no, I have goosebumps. I have to ask her, like, does she remember telling me this? I remember being like, holy shit, because the neighbor died that night, and we found out the next day. She told me that story that night, and we didn't know. And
then you found out the next day
that she had died that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That is, yeah. It's not cool. It freaks me out because I can't explain it. That's why
See, now, and that's the one area I don't need logic. I'm that way too. I have to explain everything. Like, I have a real hard time with aliens, but I believe in ghosts. So I make no sense at all. I try to be like, no, none of that's true. It's just fun to speculate about. It still scares me. And that's why I enjoy horror and I enjoy scary things, just because I like to think that that's as far as it'll go, I don't want it to be real. So I called my mom and I asked her about this. I did not tell her ahead of time what we were going to talk about. She used to work as a junior high guidance counselor, so she talks about some of the students she's worked with who have lost loved ones. Okay, hi, Mom.
Hi, Katie.
So I just want to confirm that I did not tell you ahead of time what we were going to talk about today.
That is true.
Okay, so do you remember when we lived on Mill Street, the neighbors to the right of us?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the night before we heard that the wife of the neighbor had died?
Yes.
What happened?
How did she die?
Do you remember what you told me the night before we heard that she died?
No, I do not.
Okay, shit.
I do not. How could I remember that? I mean, she wasn't not a significant person in our lives.
She wasn't. I was a teenager. I was like in 8th or 9th grade.
Uh-huh.
And I really remember this, and I wanted to see if you remembered it too. You told me when you were driving up to the house that you saw somebody in my window talking to me sitting there.
Oh, right. On that bench there.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead and say if,
well,
that's about it, right?
Yeah, I know, yeah. I thought you were sitting talking to somebody on the bench, right?
Yeah, and you told me that night.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that?
No, I remember seeing it. I don't remember talking about it, though.
You told me that night, you were like, were you up sitting on your bench talking to somebody? And I said, no. I didn't even remember being on the bench. I didn't sit on that bench a lot.
Yeah.
And like the window seat.
Right.
And my window, my bedroom, was right next to their house.
Exactly.
Okay, so you do remember that.
Yes.
Okay. Good. So I'm asking you all this because we covered the story this week about Sting, and he had told a ghost story, and I had Hecate Cat cover that, and she covered it and told some of her stories. So I spoke with her for the podcast. So you distinctly remember that. I didn't remember this until I was talking to her.
And then it came back, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that happening, but I didn't really make a connection with the lady that died.
She died that night, and we didn't find out till the next day.
Okay. All right.
That was the exact night.
Yes. Okay.
And we never talked about it.
No,
like we didn't.
haven't.
This is the first time we're talking about it.
Right. The thing is, I remember that because I had a girl in school, a young girl in school, 7th grader actually, whose father had died. And she was upset one day and came in and was crying. And she said last night that her father came to her. And I repeated that story about you. Yeah. I totally forgot about this until you brought it up. But I said, I don't know about the afterlife or whatever, but, oh, sorry. The dog is barking.
It's okay.
I told her that my daughter had a similar experience, but not with anyone that she knew real well, but with a neighbor.
I don't think I even sat there. I thought it was like something that you saw.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, you didn't. Right.
So the reason I wanted to even talk about this is because it freaks me out to hear these stories, and I just realized I had one too.
Well, I mean, my father came to me about 3 days after he died too. So
yeah.
He came to the end of my bed, and I sat up in the bed. I mean, it could have been a dream. You never know about these things, it's like.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So he said, you're going to have a happy life. And
I'm going to cry.
He faded in and faded out. It was really very theatrical kind of thing. So.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was dreaming because it was so real. And I don't know, whatever. It's hard to know about these things.
Yeah. That's kind of what I said too. Like I try to pretend it's not real, but then people close to me have stories. And I realized talking that, just yesterday that I have a story too.
Right. A lot of people have that kind of story. I'm extrapolating from my own experience and then talking to middle school children. Actually, when I think about it now, I had a boy whose house caught on fire and his dog died in the fire. And his dog came to him about a month after the fire, and he was really upset. That poor boy, like he couldn't go to science because the smoke evoked a memory, and
Yeah, he had PTSD.
But his dog came to him. I remember him telling me that it was a Lassie kind of mixed collie.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I thought I was watching television. There's stories because it's a real experience for that person.
Yes. Whew.
Yeah. Whew, he's right.
Well, I'm glad you remembered that.
Yeah, that was strange.
I love you, Mom.
I love you too, Katie. Thanks for letting me share that.
Oh, thanks for talking to me. So let's move on to the user feedback. So our number, as you know, is 434-218-3219. That's 434-218-3219. You can text us or leave a voicemail. You can email us, info@celebrity.com, and we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So last week, we gave a blind item, and we had a lot of good guesses on that post. You had spoken to a 90s icon on the phone many years ago who hated somebody else and talked smack about her. One of the names on the post is accurate as to who it was in one of the parties. I'm not saying which party.
And we're not confirming or denying anything because she asked me not to say anything. So I'm respecting her wishes from long ago.
We're protecting a source, basically.
Yes.
And she was a good dishy source.
Yeah, she was.
So here's a voicemail we got from someone. She didn't let us know her name, but she was really sweet and she loves the Amazon posts and she called them for us. Just crazy. So here's that voicemail.
Hi, ladies. I had a little free time on my hands today. So after buying 3 of the things from the latest Amazon affiliate post, I decided that I should call in to Amazon. I'm a frequent buyer and thought I wanted to let you know I did my part. I called and spoke with a representative and just let them know how great a job your site has been doing at directing me and other fun, educated women with a love of celebrity gossip towards their site. I said I hope that they would continue to work with you all and explore other opportunities with that relationship. So I hope that they do. And thanks for adding that post. It's very enjoyable to get to know you guys and your products that way, and also to interact with the other Celeb bitches on the comments. So good work, ladies.
Okay, that was really nice. She didn't have to do that. If you put the code in for a product, they give us a percentage of the product. And I registered for it years ago and just started doing it. So it's nothing that we've been encouraged to post. I started doing those in November after I did one on Oprah's favorite things, and it did well. So I just started doing those. They're fun. I like them. You know, I get to talk about shopping, which is my favorite thing after gossiping. So, and I really appreciate everybody who comments on those posts, and especially if you give suggestions for other stuff that we can feature. Like if you love something, whether it's clothes or like some gadget for your house, just let us know and we'll try to feature those. Also, don't ever feel like you have to buy stuff off of that. If you find it somewhere else, that's cool too. So thanks for everybody for supporting those. We also got an email from Jessica today, and she said, I wanted to reach out and thank you for your coverage of the Rose Hanbury story. Now, that's the Duchess of Chumley. She's the one who was cheating with...
The Marchioness of Chumley.
Marchioness.
Yeah,
Marchioness. She was, you know, maybe getting with Prince William.
Prince William.
Banging.
Yeah.
She said it was so juicy, and the link to the Royal Foibles article helped so much. So you covered that earlier this week. I called you. I was like, please explain this to me because it is really complicated and I don't trust the source.
Right. Royal Foibles is just a blogger. He's just a guy. I think it's a guy.
Yeah.
And he claims to have sources and he's very haughty and he just had a really good take, I thought, on the whole Prince William Rose Hanbury story. And he claimed that Rose was the one to initially leak the stuff about, here's me trying to say this phrase again.
I wanted you to say it again this week. I did.
Rural rivals. I had to say it slowly, but I said it. Rural rivals. That Rose was the one to leak that story initially because she wanted to punish Kate. And I thought that theory kind of held up if you think about it. But anyway.
Especially if Kate cut her off.
Yeah. And there's punishment for Kate trying to phase her out.
Yeah. And then Jackie B, who's my Twitter friend, she retweeted our post on the podcast and she wrote, "This is a great podcast if you want to feel like you're chatting with friends about celebrities with some life stuff thrown in," which was really nice. And La Unica and Jelena also said it was another great episode. That was last week. So thanks to everybody who gave us support and listens to us. We really appreciate that. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. As we were talking, I realized that I hadn't picked a comment of the week. So this is a super half-assed job from me. Like
I remember this comment though, and it did make me laugh.
Okay, good. Okay. So I just was like, okay, maybe there's something good on the Game of Thrones is too dark post. And this was from Hannah K. And she said, "The night is dark and full of terrors."
Yeah, and that's something that Melisandre always said.
Yeah.
The Lord of Light provides, but the night is dark and full of terrors. But it was like the whole point of the show was like to be really dark. Anyway. My comment of the week was from the Taylor Swift kitten story. Mm-hmm. Generic username 123 said, "The quote-unquote, I know kittens are cute, but he is special" line sounds just like something I would say to my husband to justify getting a third kitten. And it's so true. It is. I loved all the stories from all the cat people in that comment thread. Because everyone understood Taylor Swift in that moment of, no, really, I'm just going to get this one kitten, I swear. It's just because this one is special, I promise.
And her face, she was so cute. I screenshotted that for Instagram. Her face when she first held it, she's like, oh, this cat, I need it.
And every cat lady understands that.
Yeah.
Picking up a kitten and thinking, yep, this is my new kitten.
This is the one. All right. Well, thank you for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. If you could please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or your platform of choice, it will really help us, and we appreciate it a lot. You can call us and leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our website is celebrity.com, and we're also on Twitter under that handle and on Instagram as Celebrity Official. Thanks again.